Welcome to
Tea Time with the Judges. We have a special episode today.
We are celebrating our very own 10-year anniversary.
Yesterday actually was our 10-year anniversary, and yesterday was also Chiropractic's 122nd anniversary. So we thought that it would be crucial to talk about what? Chiropractic. So we're going to start from the beginning. Who created chiropractic? We're going to start with how my family got into chiropractic and the benefits we've seen personally throughout our entire life with chiropractic care. So Dr. Kalie, who was the first chiropractor?
Well, when it first started, it was back in 1895, and he actually obviously wasn't a chiropractor when it happened. He was a magnetic healer, and his name was D.D. Palmer, and he started to take care of a deaf janitor.
Yeah.
You want to go into that story?
Let's go before that.
Okay.
So this guy was a fish peddler. Okay, that's what he loved to do. But he also loved to work with the body. And he would go around to sick people around Davenport, Iowa with magnets, a positive magnet and a negative magnet. And let's say Dr. Kalie's kidney had problems. He would go with those magnets and place them on that diseased kidney, hopefully stirring up more life into that organ by creating more energy. So he thought that the energy flow from the magnet to magnet would help that thing function better. Then he practiced that for many years, and then he met this janitor that was deaf for 20 years, and he had a bone that was out of place in the top of his neck, and that bone, he could hear a pop in his neck 20 years prior, and ever since that pop happened in his neck, he was deaf. So Dr. Palmer, being an energetic healer, understood that there's an energy inside of our body that is constantly making everything function. Say function. Function. And if you're not functioning, then you're not healing. So he went back to the drawing board and he threw away his magnets and he said there's got to be something inside of our bodies that's making everything function. Say function.
Function.
At 100%. And if it's not functioning at 100% again, then you have disease, like diseased kidneys or diseased heart or cancer or whatever that ailment may be. So he said, if this bump caused deafness, then I'm going to take my hand and move that bump back into the proper position. What happened? It restored function back to the hearing apparatus, and he could hear within 3 adjustments. Hearing was restored.
You know, you keep saying something, disease, and I know that's something that Dr. D.D. Palmer lived off of was kind of separating the word disease into 2 separate words, dis-ease. So lack of ease, lack of homeostasis, lack of function. And that's really what we've got to focus on, is that it's not a disease that we're looking at. You're not diseased. There's just dysfunction, dis-ease, lack of function in the body.
Yeah, so before then, they thought most disease came from bad blood. So if you think about the history, and I teach my patients this all the time, that the barber pole used to only have 1 red line on it, okay? And that was to signify that this guy cut you open and bled you out, okay? They thought that as a regenerating new blood would help the body heal. And again, D.D. Palmer, and for thousands of years, chiropractic, quote unquote, had been practiced. Not chiropractic specifically, but moving the bone setters, putting the bones back into place, right? There's ancient people that used to slap on people's backs because they thought that would heal, but they didn't know that specific chiropractic adjustments, taking pressure off the nervous system, would help the body function better. And that's really what we're going to dive into in detail today, because I think most people think it's just about back pain and headaches, and that's just the surface of chiropractic. It's much more in depth with what we do as chiropractors, right?
Yeah, you know, you even look in the history of like the Egyptian histories, and when they used to write on the walls and draw pictures and stuff, you can see pictures, and this is what we learn in our chiropractic history classes, is that you can see pictures and drawings of people working on other people that looks just like, it's a little bit more ancient than what we have, but it looks just like what we have going on in our offices, people laying down on tables, people placing their hands on them and adjusting them into the proper position. So, you know, this is just something that we've grown up with, and this is all we've known our whole entire lives. And you know, what it is actually is what we get to live every single day. And not only live, but teach and instill into our patients and into our community. And so if you're a patient and you're listening, you know, this is a big thing for us. You know, we've been around in the same place for 10 years serving the masses. We got to do a dinner last night to our community, to patients, to family and friends. And it's just reminded me of where you started. You know, I came in 7 years ago. Dr. James started this right off the bat 10 years ago. And I remember when I was still a student, I would go to those dinners and sit there and watch him and listen to him teach. And it just was awesome to get put back into the place where you first started and to get reminded. And one thing that we talked about last night was power and love and self-control. I read a Bible verse last night. And that's really, if you could really, I think that if you could think of 3 words that describe, you know, what our mission is to, like you said last night, to give us, our patients, the power and to just show love, and then ultimately to be able to give you back the self-control, because we know that there's so much control that's lost, and that you look to the doctors, you look to the insurance companies, you look to all these places to get the control back, when ultimately the control is already inside of us.
Yeah, and I think that's what the first chiropractor sought out and understood more than most people, most even chiropractors today, is that your body is under a control, an innate control that God has given us. And we always say that the best doctor lives inside of us, right? So hearing wasn't restored because of that chiropractor. Hearing was restored to a deaf guy that was deaf for 20 years because he restored function back to the ear to allow it to take control. So again, that was the chiropractic adjustment, was the infancy, right? It created chiropractic, and then it was developed through 122 years later. So let's talk about that. How was it developed, and what did we learn about in school that brought this to more people's attention? What did chiropractors have to go through, and who actually developed chiropractic?
Yeah, so there's this awesome guy, his name is Dr. B.J. Palmer, and he is actually Dee Dee's son. And I believe it was in 1906 that he started to really become the head of the chiropractic school in Davenport. And that he's known as the developer of chiropractic. He's the one that did all the research. He's the one that, his clinics used to be just lined with people, and it was almost like a hospital setting to learn and understanding the particulars of chiropractic and what it was like to get the, go ahead.
Yeah, after that first adjustment, he thought he had the cure for deafness, so people came in groves on the train to Davenport, Iowa. And that's where the first chiropractic schools started. And they would not, you know, there's many different causes of hearing. Subluxation, which we'll get into later, is one cause, lack of function, but there's inner ear problems, outer ear problems. You could be born without the things necessary to actually hear, so chiropractic can't help with that. But as a result of restoring function to all these people that came, they saw different things happen, right? So cancers went away. They saw that the allergies went away. We'll talk about my uncle in a second. He became the first chiropractor in 1925. He had severe allergies, and you know, and things like liver problems and stomach issues started to be restored back to normal function because as a result of taking pressure off the nervous system.
Yeah, so that just brings up one thing here, is that chiropractors never say that they cure cancer, or that we cure heart disease, or that we cure diabetes, or that we cure toe fungus, or whatever it is that you want to put the label out there for, because that's not what we do. We find and correct the interference, and this big long word called subluxation is really what we're anchored into. And subluxation is when we analyze your spine. This is what Dr. B.J. Palmer dove into and really had a great understanding of what this was. But when you analyze the spine and you find with individual vertebrae that have been shifted out of position, and we know, like we've said in the past videos, that the brainstem, the spinal cord, and the nerve roots are the most important areas of your body to increase function or maintain function over time. And so we know that if a bone shifts out of position and is improperly aligned, it's putting pressure on the nervous system, on the spinal cord, or on the brainstem. And so what chiropractors do is we find the subluxation, we put it back into position, train the body to hold it in that position, and then guess what? That's where the function gets increased. It's like taking the kink out of the hose and allowing that water to go back in there fully.
Right, so remember, D.D. Palmer did the first adjustment, restored hearing. B.J. Palmer developed chiropractic, and the number one bone that he focused on was called the atlas. So everyone out there, go ahead, it's right underneath your ear. Go ahead and poke right in there. That's your atlas. And that thing basically, let's show it to you here, it sits right underneath the skull. So that it's a little bone that shifts back and forth, and it needs to move freely back and forth. But if that thing gets rocked out of alignment, it causes a lot of problems to the brainstem. And if there's pressure on the brainstem, it affects everything. Remember, all function comes from the brain, and it's sent down the spinal cord across the nervous system. So that's why he spent so many years studying the atlas bone. He developed a technique called the toggle recoil, and that's what he said was the key to everybody's health. Okay, so again, this, I'm not going to take away from this bone. It's the most important one of the 24 movable segments that we have. He spent many years working with this bone and saw many people get healthy as a result of taking pressure off of the brain stem.
And just so you guys can get a clear picture of what the atlas looks like, I don't know if you can see really well, but you can see that the inside is like a ring, and that's right where the brainstem sits. And then you have the second bone in your spine, which is the axis, and it has like a thumb that comes up here. So the atlas is literally rotating over that. In your rotation in your head, 80% of the rotation in your head comes from those top two bones right there.
Right.
So when that's subluxated, or when there's pressure in there, when somebody walks in and they can't move and they think it's because it's down here, but the reality is that the rotation is being decreased because there's pressure on those areas.
Right, so what are some things that happen? Well, birthing process, right? So when kids come out of the birthing canal, or they've been in a cramped position for 9 months, we've all been through that, right? If you're born, you've been through the birthing process, no matter what kind of birthing process
You're
you've
watching,
been through.
you've been through the birthing
So what
process.
happens is sometimes you get pulled and yanked and things get shifted up there and they're shifted forever. So what I see clinically is kids that have issues with the upper cervical spine since birth have those flat spots. They're very colicky. They can't sleep through the night. They have trouble latching on through the, trying to breastfeed. They're ADD and ADHD. When they get a little bit older, they're diagnosed with that stuff. In adults with upper cervical problems, we see multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, attention deficit disorder still in adults, and any kind of different brain disorder you can think of. It's really not a brain disorder. It's just a connection disorder, because that bone has been shifted out of alignment, decreasing the connection from the brain to the body for your entire life. So what does that do? When you have decreased connection, what happens to the function?
It decreases.
It decreases.
Yeah, so, and then thinking too is it doesn't just stop there, because what happens is you start to lose those curves in your neck. So now your spinal cord starts to get stretched. Now the brainstem's getting pressure on it, and the nerve roots are getting pressure on it, and thank God that we have an intelligent body that tries its darndest to relax the spinal cord, relax the nerve roots, relax the brainstem. So then that's when we start to see, turn this way, you're my guy now. We start to see these curvatures in the spine come in, and then all of a sudden we're walking around like we've got scoliosis right here. Not like we have scoliosis, but that's what's developed, because yes, the reason why you have a curve in your neck from here and here and here is because it's relaxing the spinal cord. So the reason why you develop curves in your spine when you start to get scoliosis is because it is relaxing the spinal cord. It is a good thing that it's there, but if it's there for a long period of time, it's going to cause damage, because then it's going to get stuck. If it stays there in that way, we have ligaments, we have muscles, we have, people come in and they're 40, 50 years old and their spines are just a wreck. And then they say, well, how long is it going to take to get it corrected? Well, that's been there probably for 20 or 30 years. And it takes time. But awesome stuff happens when we see specific adjustments, when we see specific things going on. You just brought that out, the family book.
Yep.
This stuff is good
So
stuff.
I brought this out because B.J. Palmer, again, he was the developer, and this was my great uncle. So we're 4th generation removed from him. His name is also James Judge, James Bernard Judge. I'm James Edward Judge. I was named after my grandfather, who was also a chiropractor. There's 35 chiropractors now in our family. Give or take 5 or 6, whatever, but there's around 35. We can fight who is a chiropractor and who's not, but this is the guy who started it all. And I'm just going to read you an excerpt from the October 20th, 2006, when this was written, but this was his story. When 23-year-old James Bernard Judge went to Davenport, Iowa in 1923 to visit his sister and seek relief for his asthma, chances are that he had no idea it was going to launch a career and begin a family tradition that would extend through and beyond his lifetime into the unforeseeable future. But that's exactly what happened. After experiencing wonderful results from chiropractic adjustments, he expressed the desire to enter the profession himself. So Anne contacted Dr. B.J. Palmer, the president of the Palmer School of Chiropractic. She made arrangements for James to attend Palmer in a time pay plan. After some tutoring, Jim passed his exams and entered as a student and graduated 18 months later in June 20th, 1925. He practiced for a time in Iowa, then British Columbia and Canada, but it was not until he returned to his hometown in Albie, Iowa, that his influence began to be felt in his family. Whenever illnesses occurred among the 9 brothers and sisters and their spouses and progeny, there was never a question where to go. Doc took care of everything except obstetrics and broken bones. If a patient wasn't up to a trip to town, he would hang a sign on his office door and make house calls, staying all night if necessary. Doc seldom talked about the philosophy behind chiropractic. Probably no one ever asked. He just took care of everybody. What happened was, though, is when my family, right, we started to see the amazingness that chiropractic had with our health. And, you know, you fast forward through 4 generations, here I am, I'm born. My grandfather adjusts me because he was born, and his father adjusted him. And, you know, it went on from generation to generation to generation. You know, so Dr. Kalie, same thing. We've been adjusted since the day we were born because of one man's change in thought. And really, that's what our office is designed to do, and that's what these tea times are designed to do, is change your thought process. Doc took care of everything under the sun. What does that mean? Well, it wasn't him that was healing anything. Again, he took pressure off the nervous system so the body could go back to functioning as God intended it to function. And when you think about it, if the brain is not communicating to the body at 100%, then you're not functioning at 100%. And no drug designed by us people, man, can restore function to that area of the body without taking pressure off of the nervous system. So that's how it's been passed down through almost 100 years of chiropractic care through one family. And it's developed into changing the lives and changing the mindsets of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, but first, before we go on, I just want to ask you, if you're watching this, I know we have a few people watching this right now, I just want to ask you to like this and then share it too, because there's somebody in your life that needs to hear the chiropractic message. They need to hear the story. They need to know that there's another way for healing, that there's hope. Because there are a lot of people that are walking around and they're sick and they're suffering, they're hurting. And last night I told my crew that we were at the dinner with, you know, broken people break people, but healed people actually heal people. And so I want you to be a healed person, reaching out and grabbing that person that's drowning and heal them and help them get into the next level, because we know that the body can heal and function. We are designed to heal. We are designed to go through things and function, but we just get lied to. You've been lied to your whole entire life, that you're not good enough, that you don't have enough power inside of you to heal, that you're broken, that you can't make it through to the next thing. But we just want you to know that you are more than enough. You have more than enough inside of you, and sometimes you just got to unlock that potential and allow your body to go back to healing. And so what that takes is finding the subluxation. So if you're not a chiropractic patient, that takes going and finding what your nervous system looks like. So that's getting x-rays of your spine to see if there's damage or interference happening to your nervous system, your spinal cord, your brainstem. And then from there is getting under corrective care to get the pressure off of the nervous system and allow your body to start functioning and going back to work the way that it was designed to.
So what do you mean by we've been lied to our entire life? She means that you've been told that you're weak, that you've been told that you need medications to heal, that you need injections from vaccines, that you need all this other stuff to heal you. And we've never had any of that. I've never even taken a medication in my life, not even a Tylenol. It doesn't exist in my family's mindset. So if we can make it till 35 and 31 with no drugs, in only minimal doctor's visits. Why did we go to doctors? Because we swam in high school and we needed physicals, and I cut my foot open once, and that was an emergency. Emergency medicine here in America is great. But as far as keeping you alive and your family alive till 85, 90, 100 years old, it doesn't exist. And we have to understand that Einstein said it best, that if we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results,
you're crazy.
We're all insane. Not crazy, we're insane. And think about it. We have the best hospitals in the world. We have the best doctors in the world. We have the best facilities to give you the medications, and we actually take more medications compared to anywhere else, actually 90% of the world's prescription medications. So if that stuff was working, shouldn't we be the healthiest country on the planet? And are we?
No.
Why aren't we?
Because we've been lied to, and it's creating more disease. You know, if you put a drug into your system, yes, and I'm not talking about an emergency case. Like, please understand our heart here. But if you put a medicine or a drug into your system, there are toxic effects to that. So yes, it may be a short-term answer, but the longevity in the long term is just devastating. I've seen too many people walk in here on bagfuls of medication, and I promise you that there's not a person on 1, 2, 3, 10 medications that's happy and healthy and full of life.
So are those people that are on those medications, again, are they actually healthier?
No.
My point was that we take all those drugs, we're the most, compared to the rest of the world, we take 90%, but we still lead the world in heart disease, we still lead the world in cancer, we still lead the world in diabetes and all the top killers in the world.
Even infant mortality.
Yeah, we're actually ranked last as far as that is concerned. So we need to be thinking completely different. And for me, if I go the way of the majority, then I'm doing something wrong. Because the majority of people here in America are not healthy, they're not vibrant, they're not expressing life to their fullest potential. And again, that's what maximized living is all about, is helping you express life and experience life to your fullest potential. And when Dr. Palmer back in 1895 adjusted that bone, it brought more life into that body. It didn't just restore hearing. That was the birth of an amazing concept called the chiropractic principle and philosophy. It restored function back to the body. It took pressure off the brainstem, the spinal cord, and nerve roots. So we always say in our office that the cause of the disease is the cure. And where's the cause? Well, it's not lack of medication. So if I had a headache, the cause of my headache is not me forgetting to take Tylenol. There's a cause to that. And it's pressure on the nervous system. So taking pressure off the nervous system restores function and gets the cure happening, right? So I always ask my patients that come in here with medications, if the medications were working, why do you have to take it a second time? Why do you have to continue going to the doctor year after year, getting diagnosed and put on more medication? So when you're diagnosed with the first medication, do you think that that's actually going to be better or worse for you? Well, think about it. Usually you get put on another one. The average person by age 60 years old is on 6 different medications. So again, like she said, we want you functioning and healing at your optimal level. It doesn't happen with those toxic medications.
So can we just, one thing I hear is I'm afraid to go to the chiropractor. It's scary. Can we just talk about that for a second? Why would somebody be afraid to go to the chiropractor?
Well, first off, you got to have our hands on your neck and moving your spine back into the proper position. So they've heard from their patients or their friends that my chiropractor cracks my back and does this and that. And that would be scary for me if I had no clue. I wouldn't want someone cracking my neck. But actually, it's a very light adjustment and it makes a popping sound. So that's why they say that. They're also scared because chiropractic has been ridiculed in the news, and they've been literally we've been blamed for multiple different things like strokes and all this other stuff that's nonsense out there. It's been completely debunked by us chiropractors and other medical professionals that chiropractors don't cause any more strokes than people getting their hair washed at a hairstylist, because people were already starting to have that stuff. So again, we've been ridiculed in the news since 1895. There was actually these huge different things going against us. They had a campaign against chiropractors. And how did we survive for the last 122 years? If all of those things that the medical profession tries to come against us with, how are we still here seeing so many great results in our office?
Because truth prevails all the time. There's actually, if you want to go look it up, there's a study, actually a court case, Wilkes versus the AMA. And it was a chiropractor that went against the American Medical Association because they were coming after us and trying to shut everything down. And they fought and they fought and they fought, and it was a whole, I don't want to go into the whole court case, but it's out there, and they won. And that's, you can't shut down the truth, but you can tell a lie enough, loud enough and strong enough, and it eventually comes the truth, which I believe that's the other route that's happening. But the truth has always been the truth. We have never wavered from what we do in chiropractic, especially if you're on board with I guess what's called straight chiropractic. We've never wavered. It's always been take the pressure off the nervous system, allow the body to go back to work. The chiropractor is not the one that's healing you. It's the power that's already inside of you. We always ask our patients, where does the best doctor live? And it's not at Dr. James's address, and it's not at my address. It's inside of their own body. We have an amazing vessel, and I can't get stressed out enough. We have an amazing vessel inside of us.
We've been told the truth since the day we were born. Before we could even be consciously thinking about it, our grandfather adjusted us, took pressure off the nervous system. We haven't missed a week of realignment in our entire life, and I will never miss it. I can't even imagine not having this in my life. So again, we've been told a different truth, right? Your truth is one truth because you believe it. Our truth is a different truth because we understand it and know it to be true. And that truth is what we're trying to deliver to as many people as we can. Take what you want from it and do what you want with it. But our belief system is that when I became a chiropractor because my grandfather stood around a campfire and told us a story. And he told this story year after year after year after year. And by the time I was 12 years old, I actually listened to him and understood it, more importantly. And around that campfire, around midnight, is when I became a chiropractor, because the truth was told to me through those years. And I've just seen it throughout the entire lifetime that I've had. So he was talking about a little girl that had seizures. He adjusted the upper cervical spine, the atlas, took the seizures away within 3 weeks. And I got goosebumps that day, and that's when I really decided to become a chiropractor. And I went off to school for about 4 years at Palmer College of Chiropractic. Before that, I got my undergraduate at Illinois University, got my undergraduate prerequisites, and became a chiropractor by the time I was 24 years old. And this is our life's mission, is to get this message out to as many people as we can, because again, we've seen it so abundant, so fruititious in our life, if that's even a word. And you understand that we have to continue to tell truth to people. We have to continue to tell truth to people that are sick, suffering, and dying, that are told they need these medications to heal. No, we just have to give control back, right? So we talk about it, power, love, and self-control. You're in control of your health. I'm in control of my health by the things that I do every day of my life. And that's what I've been trying to preach and teach everyone that walks through my door, because again, you are powerful. You are made perfect. You're not made junk. God did not create junk. And that's what we have inside of us, an innate intelligence that has the ability to control and run everything that we have.
You know, people ask us all the time, why did we become chiropractors? And there's a lot of chiropractors out there that have these amazing, big, huge chiropractic saved my life story. And I always go back into, one of my favorite ways of knowing the chiropractic miracles that happen is never finding out about the miracles. What I mean by that is that you never have to get on the medications. Your kids never have to be on ADD stuff, and you never have to go through those devastating cancer treatments, and it just never has to happen. And for us, that's why we're still here, is because somebody stepped into our great-great-uncle's life and changed, completely transformed and altered his future, which transformed and altered our future. So that's why we do these videos, because we want to see people go out and become chiropractors. And if you can't become a chiropractor, you're a chiropractic advocate. One of our coaches is not a chiropractor, but he trains and teaches chiropractors to go out and speak this message, because he wants to get it to the whole entire world and get people under chiropractic care. In this office, in the last 10 years, how many people have gone on to do chiropractic, to become chiropractors?
I think we had our 6th chiro baby go in to be a chiropractor, and she's in chiropractic school right now.
Right now, and then I have 2 that we're pouring into right now that want to go in and do chiropractic, and it's because it's just a passion. And when you have a passion, when you have a purpose inside your heart, I'm not saying that everybody needs to be a chiropractor, although that would be awesome. I am saying that everybody needs to be under chiropractic care. And I believe that if you are under chiropractic care and you understand what chiropractic is, you never want to leave it. Because that's another thing, is once you go to a chiropractor, you never can stop. You have to keep going. Well, you're constantly under the pressure of gravity, so your spine's like this. We're constantly texting, we're at computers, we're driving in cars, we're sleeping goofy in goofy positions. So yeah, your spine's going to be out of position all the time. I just did 81 burpees this morning. I promise you my spine is not exactly where it needs to be. And so I'm going to get adjusted today. And it's just a lifestyle that we live into, and it's our mission to transform your thinking, so that when you do have the sniffles, you don't run to the medicine cabinet. When you do have a little cut, or if something's going weird, that you don't just immediately lose hope and lose faith in the power that's running you and controlling you every single day, and that you put that faith back inside you.
Chiropractic became my profession when I was 12 years old, literally, and it became my mission when I was 24 years old, when this little boy came in named Gio, and I've told this story many, many times, but he was blue from his head to his toes, and I saw the chiropractic miracle happened right before my eyes. So as a result of taking pressure off of his nervous system, things came back to life. So again, he came in, his mom had not slept a night in 9 months. And she put him in my arms and said, I don't know what else to do. I've been through the medical gauntlet. He's had surgery after surgery, and he's had injection after injection, and he's got medication after medication. And here he is, blue, from his head to his toes. It was on a Friday morning, and I come into my office, and they're waiting for me outside of the front door. And I'm like, is this guy dead? I thought he was 9 months old, double ear infection, so bad there was stuff coming out of his ears. And I went back to when I was 12, and my grandfather telling this story, and he said, you know what, I moved the atlas, and it was like I opened up the floodgates of life. So this little boy had a severe birth process, severe injury in birth process. Basically, the doctor induced the labor because he needed to go on vacation the next day. She was already 2 days overdue. I don't believe that mindset's ever correct. Nobody's ever overdue. The baby comes out when God knows when it's ready to come out, or that innate intelligence knows when it's ready to come out. So what happened is, he comes into my office 9 months later, double ear infections. He's on his 4th round of antibiotics because during the birthing process, his head got stuck in the canal, and they got the forceps and started to pull him out. Slipped off twice. Then they got the vacuum suction cup, and if you can imagine, put it on his head, turned him 360 degrees and yanked him out, and they destroyed his upper cervical spine. So for the last 9 months he's been laying like this, and his head was flat, and his atlas was rocked out of position, putting pressure on his nervous system. So again, I flash back to when I was 12, and I took my pinky and I adjusted his bone up here at the top, and I could see the floodgates of life rushing back into his body. His skin went from blue to pink to red, back to normal skin color, and that's when I really said, okay, this stuff is true. Everybody on this planet needs to hear this message, because everybody has a nervous system and 24 movable segments that I guarantee you, because I've done this for 10 years now and I've never seen a perfect x-ray, 24 movable segments that need to be realigned. And they need to be realigned consistently throughout your lifetime, because as she said, life's traumatic. It might not be as traumatic as that little boy I was just talking about, but it's traumatic through gravity, through, for me, I'm going to go lift legs right now, and I put weight on my back, and a lot of different things that we do every single day. But again, those traumatic or micro traumas add up over time. So it's important to constantly be realigning things to reconnect that innate wisdom that's inside of your brain back to every cell, tissue, and organ in your body. And that's how things start to heal and restore function to those areas.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the chiropractic story, and we're right at about 30 minutes here, so I just want to give you guys some action steps. If you're not a chiropractic patient, I just want to encourage you to find someone local to you. You can go right on to maximizelyving.com and type in your zip code and find somebody close to you, and then call them, let them know that you heard Tea Time with the judges, and they'll get you right in. And then if you are a chiropractic patient and you know this story and you know what chiropractic has done for you and your family, you've got a responsibility, and I'm placing that responsibility into your hands right now to share that story with somebody else. So it could be as easy as putting this on your wall and sharing it. It could be as easy as sending the link to somebody so that they can watch it, or bringing a friend to a community dinner in your local area or here, bringing them to the office just to see what an office visit looks like, and start just enlightening them with chiropractic and what it is. So if you're not a chiropractic patient, find a chiropractor. If you are a chiropractic patient, share it with somebody else and get them under chiropractic care as well.
We actually have an event this Saturday. Probably on iTunes. It's not going to come out for a while now, but if you're watching this live and you're in the area, we have an event. We're going to check people's spines. We're going to check 3 different areas: the cervical spine, the thoracic, and the lumbar spine. And we're going to see if everything is in alignment. We'll do range of motion and palpation, because if the bones shift out of alignment, putting pressure on the nerves, they're harder to move. We're also going to do scans from your sacrum all the way to the skull. And that's going to show us if there's any areas of subluxation. So if the bone shifts, it's going to be hotter, right? So thermography scans throughout the entire spine. And the most important scan you can ever do, or test you can ever do, is x-rays. So we'll take an x-ray of the entire spine to see if the spine is in its proper position, or how far out of that position it is, and how much degeneration that you have, or how many ligaments are damaged and broken. And that's our goal, is to give you that information so you can make an informed decision and take control back of your health. The best diagnosis is never getting diagnosed in the first place. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that's what we're here to give you, is the ability to prevent things like heart disease and like cancer and like diabetes. And if you have them, we'll give you the opportunity to understand how to reverse those diseases. So I thank you guys for being here today. We're going to be here again on 5 Essential Friday at 10:30 a.m. and next Tuesday for our next episode of Tea Time with the Judges. Tea time out, be blessed, and
Cheers.
be healthy.